Hi, and welcome to Comics TV. We are your weekly guide to the world of comic books. I'm Mike Rizzo.
And I'm Steve Przybyla. Each week we bring you the best in comic book news, reviews, and previews.
Today we have some fine books, including True Swamp, Krusty Comics, Wonder Woman, and Star Trek: The Next Generation. So let's kick off today's show with Steve and the mainstream reviews.
Now, here's our mainstream review.
For my first book on the mainstream review this week, I'm going with Spider-Man number 2099, number 30. It's from Marvel Comics. It sells for $1.50. Peter David is the writer, Roger Robinson is the guest penciler, and Jimmy Palmiotti is the inker. This is not a clone Spider-Man. Comes face to face with his psychotic machine double who is out for a good hunt. There are two stories in here, but the second story is useless. It's called Young Miguel O'Hara. Typical art for a Marvel title, but good. Same type of Spider-Man story which has been around for a while. Special edition number 30 with a really interesting cover. A moneymaker? I don't think so. 6 cents on the price index. For my second review this week, I'm going with Wonder Woman number 95. Hubba hubba. From DC, $1.50. William Messer-Loebs is the writer. Mike Diodanto Jr. is the artist, and Patricia Mulvihill is the colorist. Cheetah, Poison Ivy, and Cheshire kidnap and hold Wonder Woman hostage, while the new Wonder Woman fights a criminal named the Chauvinist for women's rights. With creatures called the Stone Golems and 3 villainesses, Wonder Woman has her hands full. The art in here is typical DC art, crisp and clean, with hot women and big men. Good story, easy plot, interesting new costume for Wonder Woman too. This one is 7 cents on the price index, which is pretty cheap for a book. Star Trek: The Next Generation, number 4, from DC, $1.95. Michael Jan Friedman is the writer, Stephen Irwin is the artist, and Charles Barnett III is the inker. Worf, Commander Riker, and Kern are taken hostage by Worf's brother, Shadowheart, and have to prove that the rebels want to catch and put him on trial to face death. So Worf comes to his brother's rescue, or is it the other way around? The story and the art in here are very good, and Star Trek fans should definitely pick this one up. It is a must. It's 9 cents on the price index, which is still pretty cheap, and this is a definite. And that's it for mainstream reviews this week.
Topping this week's comics news. 3 years in the making and pages of advertising later, Mad Monkey Press is finally ready to begin publishing its new and unique line of comics. In 1994, Mad Monkey began a series of weekly full-page ads and comics buyer's guide to entice readers to their new line of comics. The ads continued for months, but the comics never appeared. Well, finally the ads disappeared as well. Mad Monkey temporarily halted production of all titles in late 1994 as new artists joined and new ideas became apparent. The monkey is back and ready to begin. In mid-May, Mad Monkey will begin shipping 1 title per week until all 6 titles have reached retailers' shelves. Mad Monkey's books will be released quarterly. The books themselves are unique. They are square-bound and printed on high-quality paper. Titles include The Black Raven and Magician's Village, 2 fine books originally released in 1992. The year of the Mad Monkey begins. Look for them in your order book this month.
Another comic book will be making it to the big screen, but chances are you won't hear about it in too many places. Shooting is scheduled to begin in April on American and Russian soil for AC Comics' new flick called Dawn Hunter, a sort of female James Bond who prefers not to kill. AC Comics is best known for their Femforce comics. Producing the film is Mike Frankovich of Purple Rain fame. Frankovich owns the rights to Dawn Hunter and Femforce, which he plans on shooting in 1996. Merchandising deals are already underway with everything from plush toys to school merchandise, as Dawn Hunter is being targeted to the female population. Lois Hamilton will be playing Hunter. Her previous credits include Cannonball Run with Roger Moore and episodes of Three's Company, Hunter, and Dukes of Hazzard. Along with being an attractive star, Hamilton is also a genius. With an IQ of 178, she is definitely not a dumb blonde. Comics TV will keep you abreast of the new developments in Dawn Hunter and the other comic-related movies as they come up.
Acclaim Comics' newest creator-owned imprint, Windjammer, will be releasing books from one of the industry's top talents in May. Neil Adams, former head of Continuity Comics, will be joining Windjammer for 2 new series. Starting out will be Nighthawk, #1 of a 6-issue miniseries. Nighthawk is a protector of the future, a flying clawed raptor in a grim, desperate city. The first 2 issues will reveal Nighthawk's origin. Also from Neil Adams will be the return of Valeria, the she-bat. Valeria was stolen from her natural parents and raised by the king of the firebats. She was to be his concubine when she grew into a beautiful woman. This originally appeared as a premium book, probably by Continuity a few years back. Both books are $2.50 and full color in May from Acclaim Comics.
Coming out this month and possibly in stores already is Wildcats animated trading card set from Jim Lee's Wildstorm Productions. Following on the heels of the animated series on CBS TV, the 135 card set features artwork familiar to viewers of the TV show. Artists represented in the set include Art Nichols, Terry Moore, Paul Pelletier, Michael Allard, and 9 chase cards are animation cell-style cards printed on transparent acetate. Another 9 bonus cards are foil etched, and each box contains 1 of 5 different oversized cards. In addition, actual 35mm frames of motion picture film will be randomly inserted into some boxes. A new twist to get reluctant fans to purchase cards. It might work, but in the Buffalo area, cards are very scarce as too many dealers have got stuck with product. But if you like the animated series otherwise, don't waste your time. And that's it for comics news this week.
I'm going to open up the indie reviews today with Krusty Comics #1 from Bongo Comics. This story was written by Jamie Angel with art by a variety of people at a cost of $2.25. Krusty gets his own book. He decides to open Krusty Land amusement park on an ancient burial ground. The story was typical Simpsons, although there were a few bad dialogue segments. The art was good, not quite up to the previous books. The problem I found was it looked like the tracing was a little incomplete. There wasn't clear ink lines. Overall, though, it's a good book. It's an entertaining all-ages comic, 28 pages of story. Make Krusty Comics 8 cents on the price index. It's a decent book, but it's a step below the previous Bongo books. Next I've got Wolf and Bird, Counselors of the Macabre, #4 from Exhibit A Press. Baton Lash takes his former strip comic to full size. Actually, it's still a strip in Comics Buyer's Guide. I really like this comic. It's humorous, intelligent at times. The artwork is top-notch, realistic, yet exaggerated. This issue spoofs the old suspense comics with a twist. If you like horror books, you'll like this. At $2.50, this 22-page book is 11 cents on the price index. Not a great deal price-wise, but this is a pretty good book, and I liked it. My third book today is Inkblot, Aeon Focus #4 from Aeon Comics. It's $2.95 by Ward Sutton. Sutton was the organizer of Hands Off, the anti-hate book we highlighted a few weeks back. I found this book somewhat entertaining. There were some entertaining stories, all appearing to be autobiographical. Stories like Stranded and Reagan High and Republican Parents Anonymous. His art is comical and enjoyable. The stories were worth reading. Overall, it was okay, nothing great, but it's worth a look. On the Comics TV price index, Ink blot is 9 cents a page. And my last full review today is True Swamp by John Lewis. It's number 4, published by Slave Labor Graphics, and even $3 is the cost. I've heard of True Swamp, but this is the first issue I've read. This is 36 pages of swamp stories, talking swamp characters, frogs, snakes, and other assorted creatures. It's a very strange tale, much like Stephen. You pick it up in the middle of the story and meet all these weird characters. The art is interesting, almost childish. Is it that way on purpose? I'm not sure. But this is definitely an adult comic with a lot of vulgarity. It was somewhat enjoyable, a little difficult to understand. It's 8 cents on the price index. It's cost worthy. If you want to read an unusual tale from the swamp, this is it. And that's all for the independent reviews this week.
I'm going to tell you something, Clay.
What is it, Morg?
I'm better than you. I've always been better. I can beat you, Clay. Now you hit it, and you better hit it fast. I won, Clay. I won.
This is our weekly segment.
Duel review. Each and every week, me and Mike will take a book. We both read it, we review it, we tell you if we like it or we hate it. This week we have...
Oh My Goddess. It's from Dark Horse Comics, written by Kosuke Fujishima. It's $2.50. This is issue number 5 of 6.
Mara and Sayoko are the two main characters in here. They're sisters. This is a classic story of good versus evil, of the form of CDs, nothing else, musical CDs. Who will win? Who knows? Good versus evil? Typical storyline. Well, I thought the artwork in this one was very, very good, but the story was very confusing.
Well, that's the one thing I find with most manga is they're very difficult to understand because
Yeah.
I think in the translation you lose something.
Yeah, because this was translated over from a Japanese book. I couldn't even, it was written in Japanese, the name of the original book. It's at the end, but
Yeah.
you lose something in there, but it's very good. I like the artwork because I like the way it's drawn. It's got that crisp, clean Japanimation
caffeine?
drawing to it. Huh?
No caffeine?
No caffeine. Crisp and clean with no caffeine.
Yeah. It's kind of a weird story because you've got these two CDs and one of them has like magical power.
Well, both got magical powers, but one's evil. One's, if you're listening to the Demon CD, poof, you're possessed and you're evil. And then you put the God CD on and boom, you fight evil and da-da-da-da, so on and so forth.
Yeah, it's...
For
Demon
some
CD.
reason, it seems like it's a bottom line regular story, good versus evil. Who's gonna win? You know, here's a magical talisman. The end of the story in this one, you know, of course, the good triumphs over the evil, and puts the evil CD back into the box, gets it out of the CD player, and goes back into the box.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. It looks... I mean, Dark Horse has been putting out some mangas for a few years.
Yeah, some
and
interesting
you pick up any Antarctic Press, which a good portion of their books are mangas, looks just like this. They all look the same. I mean, I don't think there's some that's a little worse than others, but overall, most manga looks exactly the same.
Everybody's got the big eyes, the big mouths.
Yeah, and the artwork is very similar. It's like, to me at least, I don't see any difference. I could
agree.
pop 3 or 4 different books in front of me and I'd think the same artist drew them all.
Me too, I agree.
And by the stories are all similar too.
Yeah.
The stories that they import over here, they're all the good versus evil kind. There's always females involved.
There's always monsters involved.
Yep.
It's just lightning bolts, swords,
Yeah.
all the time. But this one, I got to give it a thumbs down. I would think twice about this one. I wouldn't pick this one up.
It's not bad, but like Ben Dunn used to have his Ninja High School released through Dark Horse, but Dark Horse doesn't push their manga.
No.
They just have a few titles that they want to release. If you really, really want manga, Antarctic Press is the place, because that's mainly what they do.
Yeah, and they do it to a good extent too.
Yeah, they
because
do
you
a
got
lot of them, a lot of variety.
Yeah.
This isn't a bad story. I mean, it's not bad at all. It's $2.50, which is a pretty decent price. So,
Yeah.
if you like manga, you'd probably like it. Otherwise, you won't like it.
Nope,
Manga,
don't.
you either like or you don't. There's no in between.
I don't.
You thought it wasn't bad.
That wasn't bad, but I don't like manga. I just can't picture reading a book all in manga.
Yeah.
Maybe because I was brought up on the regular Marvel Image.
Because
DC
you're used
style.
to seeing small eyes.
Yeah, I'm used to seeing real small eyes, not midgets either. A lot of these people in this book are real short.
Well, they come from Japan.
That's it. Well, hey, yeah, I know a 6-foot Japanese guy.
Anyhow,
Anyhow,
that's it for the Duel review today. The mini comic review, number 1 of Warm Gray from Magic Sailor Suit Press. There's a variety of people in this one. It's $1.50. Several short stories that are edited by Austin Valentine encompass this book. Some of the artwork is good, borderline very good, while other is very childlike and very inconsistent. Overall, though, it's an okay package. There were only 40 copies printed. Not bad. And that's it for the 30-second mini comic review. And now, live from Toronto, we have Joe Matt, the famous creator of Peepshow. Joe was kind of caught off guard. He wasn't ready to be interviewed, and he's a little slow. Let's see. Why is it that sex is an important part or an underlying factor in your stories?
Well, sex is a big part of what occupies my brain. I'm pretty, I don't know. Oh, what a question. I'm loving this.
That's okay.
It's just a big part of my...
It's part of your life.
Yeah, it's a very frustrating part of my life.
Is it?
It's a horrible part of my life I can't control, and hence I'm frustrated by it a lot. So...
Let's see.
A lot of emotions tied into like resentment and all sorts of other.
Right. It comes through in the book too.
Yeah.
It comes through very well.
I don't know how to answer.
Has anyone ever approached you knowing that you do this book and like tried to do something, maybe tried to influence you so maybe they'd get in the story somehow?
Not to get into the story. Nobody really wants to be in the book, but I've had like this summer. I get like a few girls writing to me saying like I'm just your type.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know. The comic books are hardly an aphrodisiac. I don't know why they're coming on to me, but like I've met girls and they were right. They are my type, and like I guess they just they know I'll. I don't know. Well, I'm just speaking of one girl in particular.
Right.
She knew I'd be attentive, and I was.
Yeah, it was in. I think it was in number 3 here, where you had a whole list of all your specifications.
Yeah.
Are those true specifications? What you would like?
Yeah, of course.
But
Embarrassing as it is.
yeah,
Sure.
it's embarrassing, but you put it in there. Is it? Let's see. How can I word that? I guess with a comic book, you can pretty much hide yourself, and you can be yourself without anybody really seeing you. Is that what it is?
Yeah, closet exhibitionism.
Yeah.
I guess I'm more of a voyeur than an exhibitionist, and I think I'm trying to produce a product that I would enjoy reading. You know, being a voyeur. So
Right.
I guess that's more why I do it.
Right. Generally, how long does it take you to complete a page of your artwork?
Too long.
Does it?
I was just, I was just up all night inking, and 8 hours I couldn't even get one page inked.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I'm really slow. That's even if I can even make myself sit down for 8 hours.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Now, is that? Do you have any training, or did you just learn this on the road?
I had 4 years of college, art college, being trained as an illustrator, so I had that behind me. But nothing really trained me for trying to tell stories or write.
Right.
But I guess,
Speaking of that, what is it like to be a creator? How did of an entire book, from writing it to you pencil it, you ink it? How do you know what to do, what order?
I often don't. It's really what slows me down. You only have your instincts to rely on, and even then you got to question every decision. You got to look at every, what could possibly go in the next panel. It's just like a white panel, and so it's really a tough decision for me to decide where to stretch a scene, where to compress one.
Right.
It comes easier for some people, but I struggle pretty much.
Yeah.
But just do the best you can.
Right.
It feels right.
Yeah, because if you were just drawing, someone might say, this scene is this and this scene is this. Here you wrote the story, so you got to figure out what's going to be in that scene. And, it's good.
It's more like I make a list of the information that I want to convey in the story, and then go about constructing scenes that convey it most clearly.
Mm-hmm.
So.
How do you decide what portions of your life you're going to make in the next issue? I mean, obviously you got...
Thematically, I would think of the first 6 issues as being about girl obsession. And
Okay.
that pretty much guides the writing. I mean, it's really the theme and like the where it's going is really all that you have guiding you.
Right.
So I'm doing a childhood story right now, and that's
Right.
totally different from
Is it?
the other stuff. Yeah.
So you're taking something that happened in your childhood and you're going to write about it over some issues?
Yeah. This light just went out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am writing about a friendship I had with growing up with this kid, and so that's just the starting point for the story,
Right.
and it's a real self-conscious effort to get away from the sex stuff.
Is that what it is? That's good. In your personal experience, do you think it's tough to break into the industry?
I don't think it's very hard if you've got some drawing ability. The standards seem pretty low.
Oh, really?
Sure. I mean, I think 90% of the stuff on the stands is crap, and
Yeah.
I don't think it's that hard to break. I mean, breaking into it is a it's kind of misleading. Because it's really nothing to break into. I mean, if you're doing independent black and white comics, there's no real money to speak of. So it's not. I don't know. I think people are under
Assumption that you make a ton of money?
Right. Or anything, but like it's really. Yeah, it's really no big deal.
Yeah.
I don't think.
So, are you making a living off of Peepshow?
Yeah, but I mean,
You are? But
my living is very meager. I don't know anyone that would want to
live off of
live
it?
like I do.
You don't live like Todd McFarlane?
No.
Other than the comic book itself, do you have plans to take your characters any further? I mean, could you see something like this being an animated short or something?
No, I have no interest in working in any other medium.
Yeah.
I love comics, and I'll always be in them.
What kind of schedule are they coming out on right now?
Terrible schedule.
Terrible?
Biannually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I really do think in terms of the collected books,
Right.
And the comics to me they do kind of disappear as the years go by, and it's really the collection that should stand on its own.
And to end my reviews this week, I've got a whole bunch of comics just to catch up on things. Going to start out with 8-Ball number 14 from Dan Close. It's Fantagraphics. It's an unusual assortment of adult humor. The OK Cola Man bats 1,000 with his unusual humor. This is definitely recommended. Next, I've got Last Rites #3 from Antarctic Press. Joe Welton's, Joe Welton's, I guess he did the whole thing. One of only a couple superhero books by Antarctic Press. This black and white book is pretty good, but if you're looking for true superhero comics, try a color title from another publisher. Next, I've got Attitude Lad #1 from Slave Labor Graphics. Paul Tobin, Vincent Stahl, and Philip Hester are the creators. Some really weird stories. Solid but varied artwork. For a change, it might be okay. It's not a bad book. And now I've got Not Quite Dead #1 from Ripoff Press. It's by Shelton and Pick. Great cover art. I really like this cover. The stories are reprints of this band that's called Not Quite Dead. It's an okay book. It got boring before the end. I don't think I actually even finished it. Unless you like reading about fake music bands, I would not recommend this. Next I've got Jazzbo #1 from Slave Labor Graphics. Eric Searleman is the creator. It appears to be some autobiographical stories among other kinds of garbage mixed in there. It's not bad, but I think I would pass on this book. Usagi Yojimbo #11 from Mirage Publishing. This is a top-notch color book by Stan Sakai and Tom Luth. I'd rate this up in the top 5 of my favorite books. Excellent book. It's about Usagi, who's an anthropomorphic rabbit warrior in Japan. Great color, great artwork, everything. Next I've got Ardwolf #1 from Ardwolf Publishing. Illustrated fiction with creators like Dave Cockrum and Robert Bloch. I didn't like the first story. I had to actually stop reading about it. But the second story was pretty good. Basically, it's a short fiction with a couple pictures thrown in. It's okay. Again, we reviewed a similar book, the graphic, I think they were Galaxy novels. And these books won't fly. And lastly, today I've got Action Girl Comics. It's a collection of girl comics by girls. Nobody famous, but some indie creators are involved. Nothing outstanding, but if you like girl comics by girls, this is it. And that's all I've got for you right now. And that's it for Comics TV this week.
And like we say every week, when you go to that store to purchase that book that we reviewed on Comics TV this week, make sure you tell them you've seen it on Comics TV. See ya.
Fantasy and enemy, what's it gonna be now? Alternative and mainstream too, here every week for you on Comics TV. Comics TV.